Good morning, everyone. My name is Sandy Avila, and I will be today's moderator for the Innovation Sessions #2 panel that you've come to join us for today. I'm the science librarian at the University of Central Florida, and I'm joined today by 7 panelists who will be sharing 8-minute videos that we'll be playing here shortly. This session is going to be an innovative and entrepreneurial thinking and library session. And like I mentioned, we'll have 6 8-minute presentations with 7 presenters. I'll quickly go through their information and then we'll get to the videos. Thank you for joining us this morning. Nora Dethloff is the Program Officer for Scholarly Communication at the Great Western Library Alliance. Nora's research interests include UX design, process improvement, and copyright in libraries. In her spare time, she's a soccer mom and a Girl Scout leader and a purchaser of craft supplies. She'll be joined with Scott Garrison, who is the Executive Director of the Midwest Collaborative for Library Services. When he's not doing things library related, he does more and can be stronger together in engaging with libraries and helping them advance their services. He enjoys time with his family and plays electric bass with the OCD, and I'm sorry, my printer is failing me here, lightning matches. So you have to tell us later what the name of your band is, Scott. Sorry for messing that up a little. Next, we have Rachel Erb, who is the Director of e-Resources at the Florida Virtual Campus. Rachel's research interests include vendor and license negotiation and collection assessment. Piotr Marczewski is the Chief Operating Officer at Underline Science. Piotr is a global executive in business information services, currently based in Dallas, Texas. Underline Science Inc. is a technology startup focusing on video and scholarly publishing. We also are joined today by Kristin McNealy, who is the Senior Director of Author, Product Strategy and Operations at Wiley. Kristin's focus is on creating an excellent publication experience for authors and creating smooth workflows for open access transactions to support institutions, consortia, and authors. 2 more presenters left. Laura Menard is the Assistant Director for Medical Education and Access Services for the Indiana University School of Medicine. Laura's research interests include teaching and assessment of evidence-based medicine in her free time. She enjoys being outdoors, running, and spoiling her cats. And last but not least, I did say these in alphabetical order. We have Eric Schares, who's the collection analyst librarian at Iowa State University. Eric works to analyze Iowa State's publishing trends and moves collection money away from subscription paywalls and towards more open publishing models. His interests include Python, transformative agreements, and apple trees. So welcome to everyone, and I will let the online or in-person staff go ahead and play the videos.
Hello, my name is Laura Menard, and today I'm going to be talking about librarians and ECHO, forging high-impact partnerships to improve LGBTQ+ healthcare outcomes. Thank you to the Richard M. Fairbanks School of Public Health, IU Addictions Grand Challenge, and the University of New Mexico School of Medicine for supporting Project ECHO. So, what is ECHO? In Project ECHO, expert teams at hubs use video conferencing to conduct virtual clinics with community providers across the United States. In this way, primary care doctors, nurses, PAs, and other clinicians learn to provide specialty care to patients in their own communities. Our ECHO focuses on LGBTQ+ healthcare. The goal of the ECHO is to increase access to knowledge and support needed to provide culturally responsible, comprehensive primary care for transgender, gender non-binary, and sexual minority patients. Our hub team is made up of 8 expert clinicians and 1 medical librarian, myself. I was brought on at the beginning of this ECHO hub team. We identified several opportunities for an embedded librarian within the team. As the embedded librarian, I search for answers to clinical questions during sessions. I also synthesize the information that I found. I find guidelines relevant to patient care and provide resources to further patient and practitioner education. Within the hub team, we use Canvas as our repository for information, and both hub team members and ECHO participants are able to access and download the resources provided. In terms of data collection and evaluation, I've collected some data on the following: the number of questions answered during hub team sessions, hours spent in sessions, number of resources provided, and a short hub team evaluation. In March of 2019, I sent a survey to the hub team, which was 8 members, exploring their attitudes towards having an embedded librarian contributing to the ECHO. Here are the results. In total, over the past 3 years, I've provided 233 resources to participants and hub team members. I've spent 108 hours participating in ECHO sessions, and I've answered 58 clinical questions during these sessions at the point of need. As part of the evaluation, I asked our hub team members to rate their agreement with the following statement: the medical librarian adds value to the ECHO session. 7 responded, and all replied that they strongly agreed. I also wanted to assess whether or not hub team members had worked with a medical librarian in any professional capacity before. The hub team members are clinicians, and many have access to a hospital library and a hospital librarian. However, only 2 out of the 7 replied that they had worked with a medical librarian before. This highlights the fact that having a medical librarian as part of a hub team like this one can help be good marketing for the medical library and the medical librarian's resources and skill sets. I also asked hub team members an open-ended question: what reasons, if any, would you give to another hub team to include a medical librarian as a member? Here are some key takeaways from the feedback I received. The medical librarian helps with evidence-based practice. She helps find resources and articles on the spot, assists with streamlining the conversation during sessions, immediately accesses confirmation of specific details relevant to cases, builds a body of reference and evidence, is familiar with sources not routinely accessed, and provides real-time support. So here you can see there are 3 main pieces: finding resources and articles on the spot. Providing point-of-care support is very important to our hub team members. Being familiar with sources that they don't routinely access as part of their clinical practice in order to answer questions is also important, as well as curating that body of reference and evidence in Canvas for practitioners. The hub team did have some suggestions. They suggested that access to non-print sources, perhaps in various electronic and social media formats, would be more direct demonstration of the language and experience of sexual and gender minorities. When I was invited to give a didactic presentation to the ECHO members, I included some of these types of resources. Another member specified that she would love it if the librarian could pull a few relevant articles related to the didactic or case presentation and send them to the team before the ECHO session to aid in preparedness. I have begun adding resources like this to the Canvas environment. In terms of next steps, the HIV ECHO program at IUPUI has recently added a librarian to their hub team. When COVID hit in 2019, COVID-19 ECHO was formed, and they also requested an embedded librarian. I have an article coming out soon that will publish a roadmap for librarians who wish to be embedded in ECHO hub teams, and I plan to continue to work on impact measurement metrics. In conclusion, librarian participation in ECHO has resulted in better access to relevant resources for practitioners. Using the ECHO model harnesses information literacy skill sets to address knowledge gaps at the point of need. Thank you very much for checking out my presentation.
Greetings, I'm Rachel Erb, the Director of E-Resources at Florida Virtual Campus, otherwise known as FLVC. And today I would like to share with you how the implementation of CELUS helped us resolve our problem with collecting and reporting E-Resources usage data in the consortium environment. I will also show you some of CELUS's unique reporting features. Quick background about us. We provide an array of services for 40 member libraries, 12 state universities, and 28 state colleges. One of these services is the harvesting and reporting of e-resources usage statistics from our state-funded collection valued at $6.8 million. This service is also extended to for the state colleges' locally subscribed resources and those through our opt-in licensing program. Consortia faced the unique challenge of gathering and analyzing usage data across multiple platforms, and it seems that FLVC had this mostly resolved years ago with a locally developed e-resources harvesting and reporting software. As more content providers began adhering to the NISO standard of Counter 5 and providing these reports, we had a problem. Around the same time, there were new collection assessment needs that the current software minimally supported. There were several technological challenges that made the locally developed software unsustainable in the future. First, the software could not harvest Counter 5 reports. We also had to face the discontinuation of the C1 consortium usage reports that were offered with Counter 4, and we would potentially have to compile 40 separate institution reports to assess the state-funded collection. Both of these issues would involve reconfiguring the software, and we had limited time and staff to devote to this project. Also, we had to provide a lot more metrics for external stakeholders in recent years, such as the legislature, our members' council, and we needed a way to quickly provide them. A colleague of mine learned about CELUS Plus from a listserv. CELUS was created in cooperation with the National Library of Technology of the Czech Republic and Big Data, and they offer CELUS One, which is designed for individual libraries. CELUS Plus is a cloud-based solution that was specifically designed to harvest and store Counter 4, 5, and non-counter usage reports. It also features robust reporting, such as data visualizations. And the software has a short learning curve, and this is probably because CELUS provides support throughout the entire training and even in post-migration. Let's take a look at some of the data visualization features that CELUS has to offer. Okay, this is the main dashboard for the entire consortium for all the resources that are harvested in CELUS. These are snippets from the main dashboard. There are more features, but I wanted to highlight these two in the screen capture. On the left, there is a visualization conveying overall interest for the platform added to CELUS for the last 12 months, and this includes searches, full text downloads, and full text denials. Date ranges are fully customizable. The dashboard also has tabular data with the that includes the top resources associated with the categories in the high-level visualization. So this means that you can view a list of resources with the most full text downloads and so on. There's also to the right of the screen the sushi automated harvesting status. From this data visualization, you can generate reports to view specific successful harvests, errors, empty data, broken reports, and credentials, and attend to these issues. This data visualization is generated from one anonymized Counter 5 database master report. This is a chart display of the aggregate metrics in time for the consortium. I'd like to point out a few things that are applicable to some of the visualizations that have counter metrics. It is possible in this visualization to suppress one or more of the metrics if only, say, a few metrics are of interest, say search as regular or total item requests. This report is also available in tabular format by selecting the table icon. The data can also be exported into a CSV file, and the image can also be downloaded. From the same database master report, this is an organization comparison report. And you'll see to the left, there is a large black box. So I blocked out the institution names for data privacy purposes. Now let's see what's possible with an eJournal package report, title master report. Here we can see the number of downloads based on the year of publication and where most common publications years are clustered. This is a different data visualization, and this was generated from a resource that includes some ebooks in their package and e-journals. This is a comparison of the access type. So you can see they have it broken out by format in comparing the controlled or subscribed access versus open access gold. Another feature of CELUS is the ability to generate title overlap reports. The data for the report is pulled from the county usage reports. And in this example, I have filtered for journals. And you can see in the case of library journal especially, where it's pretty clear there's a ratio of total interest per platform. And you can see how it's broken out between EBSCO has the most accessions on that platform for library journal versus ProQuest and Gale. And then you can see the aggregate total interest all the way to the right of the screen. CELUS offers the ability for one to generate custom reports, and this feature saves a lot of time when gathering usage from a particular database, as shown in this example. So you can select by the title of the database, the type of metric, the metric you'd like to show, or year, access method, and so on, and then it filters. So for this, I really wanted to target one specific resource that is offered for one particular cohort in our consortium. And then, of course, you can change the date ranges, and I needed it for a specific date and time. And this report actually ran, and you'll see, I couldn't display the data, but when you select Run Report, what generates are, of course, the database along with all the metrics, the counter metrics, which are hidden here. This report is exportable as a CSV file as well. Since we implemented CELUS in 2020, there have been new enhancements such as that advanced reporting feature that I just showed you. And the software is in continual development. For example, there are future development plans to integrate CELUS Plus with Consortium Manager. And Consortium Manager is an ERM system designed for consortia, and it's one that we actually implemented in 2020 as well. Overall, we are very pleased with our implementation and the performance of CELUS. We continue to be impressed not only with the developers' ongoing technical support, but also their proactive approach to soliciting feedback from us on how to improve CELUS. Any questions? And thank you for your time.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Schares. I'm the Engineering and Collection Analysis Librarian at Iowa State University. And today I'm going to talk about a project I've been working on called Unsub Extender. So let me share my screen. So my contact information is listed here on the slide, and I'm happy to take questions either now in the chat or later on as they come to you either today or hopefully as you're playing with this tool in the future. And so Unsub Extender, a Python-based web app to analyze unsub data. And up here in this animation, we have a little preview of what Unsub Extender looks like that we'll get to in just a few moments. But before we do that, we need to set the stage and talk about what is Unsub. So Unsub is a collection analysis dashboard that helps libraries better understand the value of their journal subscriptions. And so subscribing libraries upload a counter file with their download information. And then Unsub goes out and goes beyond traditional cost per use. And Unsub finds other forms of usage, such as citations and authorships. So how often have authors from your institution cited or published in each individual journal title in this package. Unsub also looks at other forms of fulfillment, such as open access availability and backfile or post-termination retention rights. So if Unsub advises that much of your demand could have been fulfilled through open access or through backfiles that you already own, that might make a current year subscription to that particular title maybe less cost effective. So Unsub provides a lot of data, but it does not do a very good job of helping you understand it. So Unsub only gives you one graph, one visualization, and that's what's shown here. And so in the picture here, you can see the results of our Elsevier decisions last year. You probably can't read all the details, but each one of these boxes is an individual journal title, and they're organized by what Unsub calls the adjusted cost per use. So that's the usage once those alternate forms of demand are taken into account and those alternate forms of fulfillment are taken into account. The blue squares are the ones that we kept, and the gray squares are the titles that we did not renew. And so Unsub gives you a lot of really great, rich data, but it does not do a very good job of helping you understand it. So if you'll notice here, even though all these journals are organized by adjusted cost per use, you can see it's not just a continuous blue distribution here. We did not just go in and fill the first X number of titles. We did choose to scatter some blue out here. So we renewed some of these titles. We chose to deselect some of these titles in here. And so why did we make those decisions? So if you want to go further than just this single graph, you need to look deeper at the data. So one nice thing about Unsub is that you can export the data really easily to a comma separated value file, to a CSV file. And so this shows all the underlying data and calculations that Unsub gives. So each individual row is a journal title, and you get all these great numbers for each title. You get all this rich data, but again, Unsub doesn't really help you understand the many complex and interrelated data points that it provides to you. And so I am the Unsub administrator for our account here at Iowa State. So I'm the one that goes in and uploads our usage and runs the reports and then communicates the summary to our collections team. And so this took me a fair amount of time last year to digest these numbers and understand how Unsub is calculating all these numbers, which columns should I plot against what, and so on. And eventually we figured out, and we arrived at a set of graphs that worked for us, and it helped the collections team make our journal renewal decisions. But then I got to thinking, if we're having this much trouble understanding the nuances of this data, what about the other 500 libraries and consortia worldwide who also subscribe to this? Might they also be having similar issues analyzing this increasingly common Unsub file? And maybe we can do something to communicate our methods out to the greater library profession and help speed up the analysis at those other places. And so I took the graphs that we used and I thought about it some more, and I came up with Unsub Extender. So Unsub Extender is a Python script that is deployed as a web application that will take in any Unsub CSV file and automatically create a standard set of graphs and visualizations that are interactive. And so this is the live site. It is live currently at unsubextender.lib.iastate.edu. And the site loads with a sample data set already pre-coded in. So this is based on a real data set, but with false names put in and some numbers changed. So all these graphs are live. You can pan, you can zoom in and out, you can hover over each individual title and get more information on that particular data point. So we have weighted usage versus cost. We have color coding by cost per use rank. We can look into the authorships, citations, and downloads for each individual journal separately. So that's what this next set of graphs does. Again, all these are live. They can move them around. Instant fill percentage, subject area analysis, all kinds of things are pre-coded in here. And once you drop your Unsub export file, all those graphs will update automatically. Over here on the left, we have a series of filters. So say I wanted to look at things that had a high number of downloads. I guess I only had 2 that matched that criteria. But once I set those filters, all those other graphs will update automatically. So I have a summary table here that shows me there's 2 titles here that cost combined $3,000. Maybe I'll relax that a little bit more just so we can get something to see. This one has 7. But again, you'll see all those graphs updated. So we only have 7 data points in all these subsequent graphs. If I want to look further at the raw data, I can click this and enable. Again, this is another view of that comma separated value file we just looked at on a previous slide. So I can investigate a little bit further. And if your institution has Unsub, you can come up here. So you export your Unsub file. You come up here to browse files and you drop in your particular one, and then everything updates. And now this is live with your actual data. Again, still interactive, still pan and zoom, hover, all kinds of things are still enabled. So I launched this in May of 2021, and in 6 months, I've had over 1,500 hits from 34 countries around the world. I do have a paper that's under peer review right now. It details kind of the motivation and development of the tool. But I'm really interested in feedback and comments and suggestions on this. If you have an Unsub account at your institution, please feel free to use this and let me know what you think. If you have a recommendation of a different graph that you find particularly useful, I'm happy to take those into consideration and code up a new graph and add that to the deployed site so it becomes part of the standard set of graphs on here. But again, it's unsubextender.lib.iastate.edu. And I am happy to take questions, again, either now in the chat or at the end. Thank you very much.
Thanks to the Charleston Conference for giving us an opportunity to provide an update on Project Reshare. I'm Scott Garrison, Executive Director at MCLS and Project Reshare Steering Committee Treasurer, and with me is Nora Dethloff, Program Officer for Scholarly Communications at GWLA and Project Reshare Steering Committee Chair-elect. For those who may be less familiar, Project Reshare is a community-owned open-source resource sharing system. You can get involved directly in the project if your library joins the community as a member. More on that toward the end. Also, you can use it with a variety of different library management systems. We've gained several new members in recent months. The Mobius Consortium and Minitex and Galileo communities all serve multiple types of libraries in their regions: Missouri and surrounding states, Minnesota and surrounding states, and the state of Georgia, respectively. PALSI, also known as the Partnership for Academic Library Collaboration and Innovation, implemented Reshare returnables for 53 libraries in several eastern states participating in their Easy Borrow program in August, and Connect New York followed with its 12 member libraries in September. At our October 14th community meeting, Jill Morris from PALSI and Pam Jones from Connect New York discussed their consortial decisions to adopt Reshare. If you'd like to learn more about their decisions to adopt Reshare and the process of implementation, you can watch the recording of the Reshare community meeting, the link to which is on the last slide. The past year has seen a series of Reshare returnables releases. We're now up to version 1.4 with fixes and enhancements ongoing. Reshare returnables now works with 9 different library management systems, with more to come. Matthew Reedsma from member institution Grand Valley State University did an accessibility audit on this system and found it to be one of the cleanest audits he's ever done. Kristen Wilson has reconvened the product management team to create a new development roadmap along 2 tracks of maintaining and supporting the current returnable software and developing more needed functionality, including for non-returnables and controlled digital lending. The steering committee's executive committee is also talking with our commercial partners at Index Data and Knowledge Integration about how those relationships can evolve and the resources we need to take Reshare in the directions we need it to go next. We encourage libraries and library consortia to get involved. More on that in a moment. Now that libraries are in production, we need to balance support needs for users with new development to keep moving forward. Consortia serve as the first line to see if an issue can be resolved with training or settings. Index Data is not only a commercial member of our community helping to develop the software, but they are also Reshare's first certified service provider, or CSP. Nora will talk more about CSPs in a moment. The Reshare community is identifying support needs as well as long-term desired improvements, while also preparing for more consortia to implement the Reshare returnable software. As part of this work, we document bugs and enhancements related to the Reshare software, prioritize outstanding user stories and features and determine a roadmap, implement and test new functionality, manage the software release process, maintain code on GitHub, and maintain user documentation. Now I'll pass it over to Nora to talk about the roadmap and other efforts.
Thanks, Scott. So as Scott was saying, now that we have libraries and consortia actually using the software, we're in the middle of developing a new process for ongoing development and feature requests. You can see that before you in the graphic. Requests are sent to our product management team, and they develop the roadmap and schedule feature releases accordingly. Our subject matter expert teams help with requirement analysis, so help to understand how enhancements and features should work, create specifications that they can then hand off to the development team. As you can see, this is going to be an iterative process, so the roadmap will evolve over time based on input from the community and the folks who are actually using the software. One of our biggest priorities is going to be balancing the needs of our active users, the project community, and new potential implementers that are on the horizon, those folks who may be looking to implement and have features that are important to what they need. So the steering committee is currently discussing ways to add depth to our pool of developers and increase the speed at which new developments can come out. but support of our existing customers and keeping early commitments is our key priority. As Scott mentioned, we work with commercial partners, and these include index data and knowledge integration. And these folks have been the backbone of reshare development. They have provided community leadership, in-kind contributions, and financial support over the course of our years-long project. Of course, the reshare code is open source, so anyone is free to use it or build upon it, or libraries can self-host. So to ensure sustainability and to foster mutually beneficial partnerships with our commercial developers, Reshare has come up with the Certified Service Provider Program. Certified service providers are commercial members who've been approved by the steering committee as trusted providers and community contributors. Index Data is our first CSP, but others are encouraged to apply. CSPs contribute a minimum number of hours of in-kind community contributions annually, and also pay a flat annual fee towards support of our community infrastructure. And as Scott mentioned, we're currently in discussions with our service providers to make sure that those relationships are evolving appropriately as the community grows and expands. So there are a lot of ways to get involved with Reshare. If your organization is not yet a member, we would definitely encourage you to think about becoming one. Individual libraries, consortia, and commercial service providers can all join Reshare. And the benefits of joining include the opportunity to influence software development and the roadmap through member feedback forums. In fact, that's one of the most cited values that people are getting from implementing Reshare, is that ability to influence development. A voting representative for your organization with the opportunity to be elected to the steering committee, inclusion of your organization on the Project Reshare website, early access to software testing, development, and partner opportunities, and access to discounts from certified Reshare service providers for Reshare related services. Examples of membership fees or other kinds of contributions can be found at our website if you want to take a look at that. If your organization is already a member, you can join working groups, including our subject matter experts, our product management team, community engagement, and communication groups. If you're the designated voting representative for your organization, and you can see a list of those folks at our website, you can run for open seats on the steering committee. And of course, if you are a member, your organization will get invites to community meetings that are not publicly held and other exclusive Reshare events.
So if your organization is not a member, as Nora said, we encourage you to get involved. In addition to the Reshare YouTube channel, there's a growing amount of information on the Project Reshare website, including a recent interview with Pam Jones from Connect New York about their experience so far. In the community meeting that I mentioned earlier, Maureen Dermott at Dickinson College and Liz King and Michelle Matthews at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute also share their experience with Reshare returnables. And Kelly Farrell from the Triangle Research Libraries Network provides much more information on how Project Reshare community members can get involved with the project. We hope some of you who are watching will consider joining. To learn more, please feel free to contact us at our main email address, and we look forward to your questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this session today. I hope you're having a great Charleston conference. I'm Kristin McNealy. I'm the Senior Director of our Author Product Strategy and Operations Group at Wiley, and I look after the Wiley Open Access Accounts Dashboard. So what are Wiley Open Access Accounts? These are accounts that make it easier for authors from affiliated institutions to publish their research open access in Wiley journals. This is part of their natural publication process. And at the same time, account administrators can then also manage their accounts easily and efficiently via the Wiley Open Access Accounts Dashboard. This allows administrators to review and approve open access funding requests for both hybrid and fully gold open access journals, as well as to monitor account usage through real-time reporting. So where does this fit into the author's publication journey? This happens in two ways, depending on the journal in which the author has decided to publish. So for fully gold open access journals, at the point of submission, Wiley sends this request through to the open access account dashboard whenever we determine that an author is affiliated with an institution that has an agreement with Wiley. This way, by the time the article is accepted for publication, the author will know that their article publication charges will be covered. For our hybrid open access journals, authors are invited into author services at the point of acceptance, and as they're going through and confirming the rest of the steps of their publication, they are then able to select open access, and the request goes through to the account dashboard at that time. So within author services, authors are invited to come to their dashboard, and they can peruse a variety of informational pages that contain a lot of useful information about open access accounts, as well as specific custom landing pages that go into more detail about Wiley's transformational agreements. So from their account dashboard, authors can manage their article and confirm different pieces of information that we need in order to display the correct license agreement for them to sign, as well as to view their open access options. As part of this process, authors confirm their institutional affiliations for that article. And when they do that, when they come to the open access selection step, they can view customizable messaging that institutions and consortia can work with Wiley to provide specific information that they would like researchers at their institutions to see about the type of agreement that Wiley has. And then authors can seamlessly select to make their articles open access and proceed through to sign their license agreement without needing to go through any payment steps. Once their order and their license have been submitted, their process ends and the Wiley Open Access Account Administrator's process begins. Administrators will receive an email notification to come to their dashboard and view all pending requests, and they can drill down into more details for each specific request with a comprehensive detailed view of the request date, the journal information, all author information, including all pieces of information that those authors have just confirmed in author services, including original research funders, as well as the license type that was signed. Administrators can also use this view to leave notes for themselves, as well as notes that get sent to the Wiley Open Access customer support team in case they have any questions about the particular request. They can use this functionality then to approve and deny any requests. They can also come through and see a comprehensive history of all of their approved requests, or all request history, including denied requests as well. There's also an account summary view where administrators can view the total amount spent, the total that's pending approval, as well as any articles that are submitted for publication under a gold open access journal where they're still in the peer review process. We also have a widget that reminds account administrators about the variety of request statuses we have, as well as the publication statuses. Administrators can also go into the account info section on the top right-hand corner of their dashboard to review and manage their notification settings, as well as to sign up to receive quarterly or monthly reports, in addition to their ability to download ad hoc reports from the dashboard directly by clicking the download report button. We've also recently built out a robust consortia dashboard where consortia administrators, through our transformational agreements, can view all requests and the total amount spent across all institutions that may be part of their consortia. They can use this to drill down and access individual account details, as well as to view and drill down into any particular sub-statuses or categories that they would like. So for example, if I'm a consortia administrator and I want to see all pending requests across all of my member institutions, I can go in and see a dashboard that specifically contains those articles, and then go in and view more details about each individual request, including the order details view. And I can then either approve or deny that request myself, or reach out to the individual account administrator at that institution. There's also robust consortia reporting capabilities where administrators can request a consortia view that's essentially a summary of everything that they can see on their dashboard with a breakdown by institution, or they can request a detailed view, which includes all information about all articles within each of the institutional accounts. Thank you so much for joining today. I'm really excited to take any questions, and folks can also feel free to reach out to me or the product management team at any time. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Piotr Marczewski and I serve as Chief Operating Officer at Underline Science. We are a Netflix-type platform with streaming videos for scientists and professionals. Many of you will know us from the virtual and hybrid conferences, which we also produce and operate for our clients. I'd like to thank you very much for this kind invitation. I'm honored to have an opportunity to share with you our experience and perspective. Now, all good things in business come in threes, so that's how I've structured my remarks today. First, I'll share with you some data. I would like you to reflect on why you should care about video, why video is the next big thing for our community. Secondly, I would like to briefly tell you about Underline, our mission and vision, what is unique and attractive about our platform and our events video collection. And finally, I would love to show you our digital video library. We have just launched it to our first customers, which is very exciting. So I'd like you to leave this room today with a good understanding why an Ivy League school in the US and several leading technology institutes in Asia are among our foundational customers. So first, some data. But before we do that, let's reflect together as we are talking about conference presentations on video. These presentations capture minds at work, where scientists are presenting their work-in-progress research, sometimes 2 or even 3 years before its formal publication. Those videos provide an attractive insight, hence they are rapidly becoming an important record of scientific process. And there is more of them every day. Now, here are some data points for you. I firmly believe that when it comes to conferences, 2022 is going to be the year of the hybrid model. Just as it is here, we are blending real live and virtual meeting for presenters and attendees. In one of our recent attendee polls, as many as 40% of conference participants confirmed they would prefer a virtual meeting over the in-person one. That is 2 in every 5 attendees. Another data point was mentioned to me by one of our customers. An average size 3-day conference generates anything between 100 and 150 hours of video materials these days. So there is more videos after every conference. And it's not just a quantity game. The impact of videos is also important. 74% of respondents in the recent market analysis observed improved student achievements when using videos. 76% of teachers are happier with their experiences, and 84% of students are more satisfied with their new way of learning using video. And ultimately, 85% of attendees of a recent conference told us that they value access to the conference videos not only during, but also after the event. Gone are the days when materials and presentations live and die at a conference. You can access them prior to the meeting and come back to them later. You can watch the video, analyze the slides, reference those presentations, and cite them in your work. And the ultimate data point for you. Most of your early career researchers, your future library members, are millennials and Generation Z. They grew up digitally native. They consume videos naturally, and they expect videos in their work and learning experience. So why do you care? Look at the diagram on the right. Our hypothesis is that video format is the next big thing in scholarly publishing. Just as you're providing books and publications, you hold conferences, meetings, and share posters, proceedings, and buy back files. Videos are here. They make very positive impact, and you need to take a note of it. Now, secondly, I'd like to tell you a little more about Underline. We are a technology startup focused on digital transformation on conferences industry. We specialize in virtual and hybrid conferences, and our mission is to make them globally accessible and useful. On our digital video library, short-named DVL, you can access over 12,000 videos from scientific conferences, most of which are exclusively available on our platform. And we are adding hundreds of new videos every week. Giving our context of innovation in library domain here, I would like to highlight some of the benefits which you can realize by accessing our DVL. We provide you with new content from scientific events, accessible by your members remotely, on demand, from the convenience of their laptops, tablets, or even mobile phones. Our content can help progress scientific discovery, but also make your academic classroom more engaging. We refine videos, effectively converting them into video publications, assign their own DOIs, making them easily discoverable, enabling sharing, referencing, and citations. Videos can be transcribed and translated. Finally, being that we are a technology company, we provide you with live usage data and analytics. And we can also add and host your videos, enabling you to get better organized about your own video content. Finally, I would like to show you the excellent Dvl User Experience. You will access the platform from our homepage, underline.io, and clicking on the video library link. From this point on, you have several options to navigate across to your particular domain of science. Let me show you that. You can navigate to physical sciences, engineering, and technology. This takes us down further our taxonomy tree. Let's pick computer and information science. And you can see 6,400 videos in that domain, scrolling content. You can search by name of the author. You can search by lectures, speakers, and events. Finally, let's look at an individual lecture page. You will quickly notice that it is not only the video, but the full, complete experience. You can play the video. You can also use the interactive transcript, searching for parts of it that are of particular relevance to you and navigate directly to that part of the presentation. Now you can share the presentation. You can cite it using a citation link. You can download slides that are presented during the conference. You can also access the DOI created for that particular presentation. Here below the video, you also see abstracts, further reading, which contains links to related materials, including conference papers and details of the authors. You can also click on the speaker profile and explore more about the speaker. As you see, the platform is very simple and intuitive. It makes videos easily discoverable and useful, just as per our mission, which I had mentioned before. And as video is a visual medium, we took some extra steps to make sure that the platform looks amazing too. I trust you find my remarks interesting. By now, you see that when it comes to innovation and entrepreneurship in library domain, video is an exciting format for capturing and sharing knowledge. I'm now looking forward to our question and answer session. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you to the panelists for recording those 8-minute videos. And now I believe we've had some questions that have come through Pathable online, and we have put them into the chat via Zoom, since we have two different platforms we're trying to deal with here. Rachel, I believe you had a couple questions that might not have gotten answered yet, so I'm going to start with you. Those were in Pathable. How does the reporting on data errors in sushi harvesting work?
Okay, so I'll give you, I think the best way for me to answer this question is to give you an overview of what I've been doing each month, and because it falls into different categories of problems within the system. So first, you might have something like downloaded, but not reporting into the database. And that is just a failure. So there is data, but it just didn't convert over. 9 out of 10 times, all I have to do is go back for that month and re-execute and initiate the load. So it's not manually uploading files, but you do have to re-initiate it. They call it manually in the system, but it's not. And that usually clears up the problem. In the event that doesn't work, I do reach out to them, and then I get support. And sometimes it's something they have to do on the back end to initiate it for it to load successfully. The other kind of report you'll see is something like error, but there's an error in not downloading data. So what this means is that often there's no data for that month for that particular institution. What I have done though, just to be safe is, and I'll probably stop doing this a little bit as time goes on, is I'll go into the native admin interface of a particular database and check that institution's report and verify, okay, there was no usage for that month. We see this a lot with some institutions during the summer months, so it's not that unusual. And I'm starting to notice a pattern now that we've been using the system for a year. So the other report we see is something called, how do I describe what it is? Okay, it's data harvested but no usage. Now you would think that other report would show up as data harvested, no usage, but I find that feature, when it works, it works, but when it doesn't, it's going to kick it as an error, and then you have to do a little bit of investigation. I'll be perfectly honest with you. There's one of the things I would say in general, consortially, that you may not have the same issue as a single site institution, is that we are uploading many files, initiating the harvesting for many resources for 40 institutions. So it does, take a significant amount of bandwidth to do that. So sometimes there's those errors that can occur. I hope I answered the question. And one thing I will say is that when I'm really stuck and I'm unable to troubleshoot something, I can reach out to the folks at Celis and they will answer my question, give me tips. Sometimes there was an issue where something it had the wrong account associated with it, for example, and it was uploading the wrong data not for that institution, but for another institution. And they were able to go in the back end, clear it out for me within 24 hours, and I was able to go ahead and reinitiate with the appropriate account code. So there's that high level of support. Okay.
Great, thank you, Rachel. I believe Rachel put her email in the chat. I can put it back into Pathable in a second. I believe there might be a follow-up to that question, but I want to make sure we get a chance to ask everyone on the team before we get too close to the end. Eric, you also had a question regarding, I believe, your GitHub account or your link. I did have a separate question for you, but I think it's the same thing. Is the source to Unsub Extender freely available? And if so, where is it?
Yes, yeah, the code is in my GitHub repository. Either if you go to Unsub Extender all the way down in the left-hand panel, there's a link to GitHub. And I think someone put it into Pathable for me as well. So, yes.
Yes, I noticed that. Is there anything else you might want to tell us about the Git site or anything that might be helpful along that line, since that question was the one I was going to ask you?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's fully open. You're welcome to take a look at it. If you have suggestions, I'm happy to hear them. But I'm also trying to find bugs myself and fix those. So we're still a work in progress.
Great. Well, you had some wonderful comments in the Pathable chat. So I don't know if you got to see those, but
I did. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Okay. So Laura, you had a question regarding Echo early on in the chat in Pathable, and I have a question for you, which might be similar to the one that was asked. Where can we get more information about how to get involved with Echo?
Yeah, thanks for that question. So I'm actually publishing a paper in the Journal of Medical Librarians, JMLA, in the next couple of months that kind of provides an outline for getting involved with Echo. There is also an Echo site. Echo stands for Extensions for Community Healthcare Outcomes, where if you're interested in finding out about echoes near you or echoes that address issues that you might be potentially interested in, you can search by topic or location.
Great. And I believe we have some other questions coming in. So let me make sure I go down my list first. But Piotr, I think you have several, so I'll be putting those into the chat for you in a second. All right, so Kristin and Scott, how about if you can tell us more about the benefits of Wiley's open access accounts and how organizations and institutions can get more information?
Hi, thank you. So some of the additional benefits are even closer. All right, cool. It's really beneficial for authors in that it gives them clear information throughout their publication process and streamlines it so that they don't have to undertake any payment steps themselves directly. Particularly for institutions and consortia, however, we find that it's an easier way for them to track and manage their open access spend in a central location and to really understand their interest of researchers in their communities for open access. And institutions and libraries can find out more information about this program from their Wiley sales representatives.
Great, thank you. And there's several questions I'm trying to send to Piotr right now through Zoom chat. Do we have anybody, while we're getting these linked up, anybody in person that has a question that they'd like to ask before we get to Piotr? He's got, I think, 4 questions directly. No? Okay, so I'll go ahead and fire the first question off to you, Piotr. Samuel in the Pathable chat asks, wondering how your product manages access to paid member conferences, i.e. I believe a lot of recordings have limited access to attendees only.
Yes, correct. So thank you, Samuel, for the question. I think it touches on a key item of licensing content. I think video content is just as licensable as written content is. I guess a great illustration of this will be, we just went to the market. We issued a press release last night with Endocrine. 500 of their videos from their annual conference are now available on the Underline platform. This is subject to licensing agreements. You can imagine all sorts of different scenarios here. Either open access scenario where a conference organizer just wants to share their conference presentations with a broader group of scholars and broader audiences. You can imagine an embargoed scenario. We have those where content is available strictly for event attendees for a period of time and then unlocked for the broader access. And you can also imagine a scenario where a subset of content is available on a library like ourselves.
Great, and I didn't mean to leave off Nora and Scott. I have a question for them. So before we go back to your other few questions, Piotr, and you have one that has like 4 questions. So I believe, I can't remember your name at the moment because I have a different window open. You might have to get in touch with him directly. Michelle Brewer has 4 questions, so we might not be able to get to all of those. So a question for Nora and Scott. Can you tell us more about Project Reshare sustainability plan and how the platform will stay viable in the future?
Right. So I think that the strongest thing about Reshare is the community that we've developed. And I think that's the most in its favor for sustainability. It's a completely community-driven product. And the Certified Service Provider program that we talked about in the presentation helps to make sure that the vendors who are engaged are an active part of that community and are in touch with the practitioners. We've been talking a lot in our executive committee and our steering committee about making sure that we are prioritizing the support of the existing products and keeping the commitments that we made early on. And we think that's an important part of sustaining the progress that we have to make sure that those folks who have implemented early and are using the product are satisfied and getting what they need out of it. And we're actually, I think another benefit of the community is that we're able to be flexible so that we're actually working on a new model for making sure that we have sustainable funding year to year. And I think the ability to sort of not change course, but adjust course as we go is an important facet of the sustainability. Did you want to add anything?
I think really the only thing I would add would be that we are committed to developing not only on the returnable side, but also non-returnables and toward controlled digital lending. Some of you may have been to the session earlier at this conference about controlled digital lending and standards around that. And we have people participating in those conversations. So those are 3 tracks that we're working very closely to advance.
We have a follow-up question for you all. On one of your slides, you spoke that Reshare is working with information standards. How is Reshare doing that?
Sure. Jump in because the technical side is not my specialty, but Reshare is designed around ISO 18626.
to make sure that it's compatible with the standard and therefore can interoperable with any other system that's utilizing those standards.
Great.
I guess the only other comment I would make would be that we are also working closely in terms of system integrations. As we mentioned, we have 9 ILSs and library services platforms currently supported, and we have a definite eye towards standards-based compatibility with other library systems.
And Scott, since you're still there, would you mind sharing the name of your band that I butchered earlier because I couldn't read my printing?
Sure, there are 2. There's OCDC, and you can guess what that band plays. And there's also Lighting Matches, which is mostly originals.
Got it. So there's 2. Okay, wonderful. Sorry for that. My printer at home is running out of ink. So we have a couple more questions for Piotr, and then we did have another follow-up for Rachel as well. Let me go back up there real quick to get that. We did have a question for you also about how Celis handles non-counter usage. I'm not sure if that was in addition to the other question. So if you want to answer that real quick while I look for the other follow-up.
Okay, sure. So something I want to clarify about non-counter as far as Celis goes. There are 3 versions of Celis. There's the Celis Plus, which is with Consortia. There's Celis 1, which is for single institutions, but you can also go the open source route. With the open source route, it does support non-counter. If you go through subscribed software as a service, it does not. However, this is a new company. They're just getting their feet wet. We're the first consortia they've worked with. If you're interested, reach out to them and I would negotiate for whatever you think you could get. That's just my advice. I found that with us and some of the things that we wanted are not necessarily supposed to be included, have been included. So the door's wide open. Now, getting to your point about the question about non-counter data. Okay, so here's how it works. Generally in the system, what you can do is whatever the vendor throws at you that's non-counter, whether they call it downloads, accessions, whatever, there's a way to, in the administrative module, you can map them. So you can change the verbiage, but it has to be mapped to it. So you accept their native, or what you can do is change it there in the non-counter data, then change it in the system, and then you have to manually upload files. Give you a real clean example of this. A product we provide, Ulrich's, you're all familiar with Ulrich's. We fund that for the 12 universities, non-counter data. So what I have to do is I get the report from ProQuest because I can't go into Ulrich's and get it myself. They send it to me in a spreadsheet. I have it already customized the way I want it to display and what each field means as far as downloads, views, and there was another metric. Map it, and then I just manually upload those files. Takes about an hour in total once I have the files to give you an idea of how that works. But it is very flexible in that it does do that, which most systems, as far as I know, don't.
We are now getting close to time. I was told by our moderator in the room that we could go a little over. So if anybody has to leave, we understand, but we do have about 3 to 4, 5, 6 questions left for Piotr. So I'm going to try to put 2 of the questions together and then see how many of Michelle's we can get to. So Piotr, we've got how do underlying videos link to course management systems, and what remote authentication services work with Underline?
Yeah, so I guess I'd suggest I pasted my email and we can engage in further conversations one-on-one because a solution that we would offer to every single library would be customized to their needs. We can absolutely integrate to systems authentication. We have a very simple method that we can offer to any client that is currently that is accessing the library for the first time and testing it. And we obviously can support authentication by domain, by IP addresses. These are standard solutions available in the market. And again, there's a few more questions. They're all great, and I'd like to engage in the detailed conversation, but just being conscious of time.
No problem. I was trying to see if there's anything else in Pathable that might have come in for anybody else. And my system's a little slow now, so let's see. We have some comments. Thank you. We had a question again for Nora that we had already shared. And John says, thank you, Rachel, for the information about Celis. Well, then I think we'll go ahead and close the session. Thank you all for staying a few minutes after, and a round of applause, virtual and in person, for our fantastic 7-member panel for today. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. And if you're in for later, I'll be hosting the closing session plenary Polapalooza time with Athena Hepner, one of my other coworkers at the University of Central Florida. So please come and join us later this afternoon and enjoy the last day of the conference, everyone. Thank you so much for being here.